Thanks. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to bust a huge myth about productivity, one that you probably believe is helping you get more done. I'm talking about multitasking. We all do it, right? Replying to emails during a video call, scrolling social media while watching a movie, or juggling 3 different projects at work. We wear our ability to multitask like a badge of honor. But what if I told you that everything you think you know about multitasking is wrong? You see, the popular idea of multitasking, doing several things at the very same time, is a biological impossibility for our brains. What we're actually doing isn't simultaneous work, it's rapid task switching. Think about it like this. Your brain is a single core processor. It can only truly focus on one complex task at a time. When you think you're multitasking, your brain is actually doing a frantic dance. It focuses on task A, then it has to completely stop, switch its attention to task B, work on that for a bit, then stop again, and switch back to task A. Each one of these switches, no matter how quick it feels, comes with a hidden penalty. Psychologists have a name for this penalty: the switching cost. It's just the little slice of time and mental energy that gets lost every single time you jump from one task to another. You might think, oh, it only takes a split second to glance at my phone. But during that split second, your brain has to disengage from what it was doing, reorient itself to the new task, recall the right context, and reload all the relevant information. And then, when you switch back, it has to do the entire process all over again for the original task. These tiny delays, these switching costs, might seem insignificant on their own, but they add up. Every switch adds a few seconds of unproductive time and drains a bit more of your mental battery. Over the course of a day filled with multitasking, you're not actually saving time. You're losing it, bit by bit, in these invisible gaps between tasks. You end up taking longer to complete everything, you make more mistakes, and you feel way more drained and mentally exhausted by the end of the day. So, the next time you're tempted to juggle multiple things at once, remember the switching cost. It might you. We've probably said it yourself, or at least heard someone say it. I'm great at multitasking. But what if I told you that neuroscience says that's a myth? Our brains aren't actually built to do several things at once. What we call multitasking is actually something much less efficient. And it comes at a huge cost to our productivity and mental well-being. Today, we're going to dive deep into what's really happening in your brain when you try to multitask. We'll explore why it feels so productive, even when it's not, and uncover the surprising ways it can slowly damage your focus, memory, and overall performance. By the end of this video, you might rethink how you tackle your to-do list forever. Let's get into it. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more insights. I know, it feels like you're getting so much done, right? Juggling emails, writing a report, and keeping an eye on your messages. It feels like you're a productivity superhero. But what if I told you that all this juggling is actually making you less effective? It's true. Research has found that constantly switching between tasks can slash your productivity by as much as 40%. That's a huge hit. Think about it, that's like losing almost half your workday. So, why does this happen? The problem isn't multitasking itself, but what our brains are actually doing, which is called task switching. Our brains aren't built to focus on multiple complex tasks at the same time. When you think you're multitasking, you're actually just switching your attention back and forth very, very quickly. And every single switch comes with a cost. At first, your attention becomes fragmented. Each time you switch from one task to another, a part of your brain, called attention residue, stays stuck on the previous task. This means you're never fully focused on what you're doing right now. It's like trying to read a book while someone is still talking to you about something else. You can't give either one your full attention. Second, you overload your working memory. Your working memory is like your brain's temporary notepad. It can only hold a few pieces of information at a time. When you keep switching tasks, you're constantly forcing it to dump old information and load up new information. This process is exhausting and leads to mental fatigue much faster. Third, this constant switching dramatically increases the likelihood of making mistakes. Because you're never fully engaged, you're more likely to miss important details, make typos, or forget a crucial step in a process. Studies have consistently shown that people who report multitasking more frequently actually make more errors and remember less of what they were working on. The irony is that all this frantic activity makes your brain feel busy and productive. You get a little rush from checking off small things, but the actual output, the quality work, suffers. You end up feeling more stressed and less accomplished at the end of the day, even though you felt like you were working non-stop. So, the next time you're tempted to juggle a dozen things at once, remember the 40% rule. Try dedicating a block of time to a single, important task. Put your phone on silent, close those extra tabs, and give it your undivided attention. You might be surprised at how much more you can accomplish when you stop multitasking and start single-tasking. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, give this video a like and subscribe for more tips on working smarter, not harder. See you in the next one. Have you ever found yourself juggling a dozen tabs, answering emails, checking your phone, and trying to write a report, all at the same time? You feel super busy, right? Almost like you're a productivity machine. But at the end of the day, you look back and realize you didn't actually finish anything important. You're just exhausted. What's going on here? Well, here's a little secret. Your brain is actually tricking you. It loves multitasking, but not for the reasons you might think. It's not because multitasking is efficient. It's because it feels good. Every time you switch from one task to another, say from your spreadsheet to a new email notification, your brain gets a tiny hit of dopamine. Dopamine is the feel-good chemical, and it's associated with pleasure and reward. Think about it. That little ping from your phone, it's a novel stimulus. That new tab you open to quickly check something, it's a fresh piece of information. Your brain craves this novelty. It's like a little adventure for your mind, a break from the monotony of a single, focused task. This constant switching creates a feedback loop. Switch task, get dopamine, feel good. Repeat. Your brain starts to confuse all this stimulation with actual progress. You feel like you're accomplishing a lot, but you're really just spinning your wheels in a cycle of digital distractions. There's another psychological trick at play here. It's called the Zeigarnik effect, Ds. This is the tendency to remember unfinished tasks more than completed ones. So, when you have multiple projects open and incomplete, they create a sense of urgency. Each unfinished task is mentally screaming for your attention. This pressure makes you want to jump between them, trying to quiet all the noise. But instead of resolving the tension, you're just adding to the chaos. You're not actually completing the tasks. You're just temporarily appeasing that feeling of urgency. The result of all this, you're constantly switching. Your brain has to unload all the information about one task and load up all the information for another, over and over again. This is incredibly draining on your mental energy. It's like trying to have 5 different conversations at once. Youth can't give your full attention to any of them, and you end up missing key details. That's why you feel so drained and unproductive after a day of so-called multitasking. You've been busy, but not productive. So, the next time you feel the urge to open another tab or check that notification, just pause. Ask yourself, is this helping me make real progress, or am I just chasing a dopamine hit? Malay. Understanding this paradox is the first step to breaking the cycle and reclaiming your focus. Do you ever feel like you're juggling a dozen things at once? Replying to emails during a video call, scrolling through social media while watching a movie, or maybe listening to a podcast while trying to work? We often call this multitasking, and we even see it as a superpower for productivity. But what if I told you that this constant juggling is actually rewiring your brain for the worse? Sounds dramatic, but a growing body of research is pointing to a scary truth. When we consistently multitask over a long period, we're not training our brains to be more efficient. Instead, we're training them to be distracted. Think about it. The very act of multitasking is about rapidly switching your attention from one thing to another. You're never truly focused on any single task. This constant switching comes at a cost. One of the biggest casualties is our ability to engage in deep work. Deep work, that state of intense, uninterrupted concentration, is where breakthroughs happen, where complex problems get solved, and where real learning occurs. But a brain, accustomed to multitasking, finds this state of deep focus incredibly difficult to achieve and maintain. It's like trying to run a marathon after only training in short, frantic sprints. Your mental stamina just isn't there. Studies have shown that people who identify as heavy multitaskers actually struggle more with filtering out irrelevant information. Their brains have become so used to paying attention to everything at once that they can't effectively ignore distractions, even when they want to. It's a paradox. By trying to do more, they become less effective at doing any one thing well. This also has a huge impact on learning and memory. 2. When you're learning something new, your brain needs to process and consolidate that information. This is a delicate process that requires focused attention. If you're constantly interrupting that process by checking your phone or switching to another task, those new memories never get a chance to properly form. It's like trying to build a sandcastle while the tide is coming and the information just gets washed away. So what's the takeaway here? Your brain is incredibly adaptable. It will change based on how you use it. If you constantly feed it a diet of distraction and task switching, it will become a brain that excels at being distracted. It will crave novelty and struggle with sustained attention. The good news is, you can retrain it. By consciously practicing single tasking, setting aside dedicated blocks of time for focused work, and minimizing distractions, you can rebuild your ability to concentrate deeply. It won't be easy at first, but your brain will thank you for it. 2. You ever feel like you're constantly juggling a dozen things at once? Answering emails during a meeting, scrolling through your phone while watching a movie, listening to a podcast while trying to work. We call it multitasking, and we often wear it like a badge of honor, a sign of peak productivity. But what if I told you that this constant juggling is actually rewiring your brain for the worse? It's a bit of a paradox. We multitask to get more done, but over the long term, it actually makes us less effective. The problem is that our brains aren't built for simultaneous tasks. When you think you're multitasking, you're actually your brain is rapidly bouncing back and forth between different activities. This constant switching comes at a cognitive cost. One of the biggest casualties is your ability to achieve deep focus. Deep focus, or flow, is that state where you're fully immersed in a single task, completely losing track of time. It's where your best, most creative work happens. Long-term multitasking trains your brain to crave constant stimulation and new input, making it incredibly difficult to settle into that deep, focused state. Your attention span shortens, and you find yourself easily distracted, always looking for the next thing to switch to. This doesn't just affect your work, it impacts your ability to learn. Day. When you're trying to learn something new, your brain needs to process and consolidate that information. If you're constantly interrupting that process by checking your phone or responding to a message, the information never gets properly encoded. Learning becomes shallow and fragmented. You might read a whole chapter of a book while multitasking and realize you can't remember a single thing you just read. That's your brain struggling to keep up, and it gets worse. Studies have shown that heavy multitaskers actually have a harder time filtering out irrelevant information. Their brains have become so accustomed to a flood of stimuli that they can't effectively ignore distractions, even when they're trying to focus on just one thing. This means that, ironically, people who multitask a lot perform worse on cognitive tasks, even when they're not multitasking. Their brains have adapted, but in the wrong direction, becoming wired for distraction rather than for sustained attention. Think about memory. When you sleep, your brain works hard to consolidate the day's experiences and learning into long-term memory. But this process relies on the quality of the information you took in during the day. If your waking hours are a blur of tasks, which in your memories will be weaker and less organized, you might find yourself forgetting conversations, appointments, or important details more often. So, what's the solution? It's about consciously training your brain back toward single tasking. Start small. Set aside dedicated, distraction-free blocks of time for important tasks. Put your phone in another room. Close unnecessary tabs on your computer. When you're in a conversation, really listen. It might feel uncomfortable at first, but with practice, you'll start to reclaim your focus, improve your memory, and find that you can do better work faster. Your brain will thank you for it. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more insights into how your brain works. See you next time.